But
But
isn't that ironic how AM was the big thing in the 60s and 70s? And then by the 80s, FM kind of became the big thing, yet AM
mm,
became bigger, as talk radio.
well, yeah, I mean, you're talking about life before and after FM. And when FM came along, the quality, the vocal quality and the music quality was so far superior that when people were given the choice, they wanted to hear that superior sound. No arguing with that. So, but talk radio, all of its various forms, managed to keep AM radio alive and healthy, and it still is.
It
And I'll
is,
tell you,
although car companies are talking about removing AM radio.
oh, there's a huge battle going on over that, and I think the radio stations are going to win
Really?
because we have politics behind us actually because the politicians are understanding and they're hearing from people in their districts and such that hey, you know what? We live here I live in the tornado country, Tornado Alley in North Texas, sweeps all the way up to Oklahoma and on into Kansas, Nebraska, and so forth. And this in this area, if we don't have local radio, we have no means of knowing what to expect. Now, that's not entirely true. Of course, we've
Like
got
for
television,
emergencies, yeah.
TV. We've got alerts from the local community, the county office of emergency services and so forth. I mean, we can find out, but radio is important at those times. Radio is important for giving you information that you're not going to get listening to a syndicated show that's coming out of New York, you know. So there's that, but also there is a movement afoot in radio right now that I think is going to take root. And the ironic thing is that it's the future of radio in general, going to the past, and that is focusing on local radio instead of a company that owns 400 stations. We have a couple of those now, and they're failing magnificently.
Odyssey just filed bankruptcy.
Yes, yeah. Um, you're gonna find radio coming local again with local people on the air talking about local things, and it won't be just radio. It will also be streaming. It will be podcasting. Everything tied together. You know, local TV, local radio, local news. I don't think newspapers are going to come back probably, but
Right. They've been
anyway,
taken over by hedge funds, like the Sacramento Bees now owned by a hedge fund. So that doesn't give you a very objective perspective of national, news.
well, what you get with that is you get investors that put their money in so they can make money back.
Right.
They don't know or care anything about your business.
Right.
You know, we all have these portfolios made up of 20 or 30 different stocks. I don't know what these companies do. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and this is just not one of those businesses where we can survive with that unless the people who are running the local business are in charge of doing it the way they know how to do it. My big concern, Alex, is that right now I'm kind of getting out here on a tangent, and I apologize for that. But my big concern right now is that we're at a time where people who are coming up through radio that are hanging in there, still in the business, haven't been in the business all that long. There are a lot of people who are finding jobs on the air, their first jobs on the air in major markets. I knew a couple of those in Chicago. Young people who came out of Northwestern University with broadcast journalism degrees and absolutely no experience, and they got put on the air. And you find that this is also true of programmers. Not all. There are some very good ones, but there are a lot of them who really don't even have the experience of having worked through the small markets, starting in a small town and working your way up through medium-sized markets and eventually getting good enough and learning enough and having enough experience to get a job at a plum market in a major market station. So I'm afraid that the idea that, well, we need to go back to doing what we know how to do best. That's a good idea. The problem is, can you find people who still remember?
Right. Instead of going for the lowest bidder for the job, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So that basically wraps up our episode this time. Any other thoughts you have about talk radio?
nope.
You're done talking about it, right? Do
I
you
really
think
don't have
you'll
any.
ever get back into radio? You've retired, but is there a chance?
Well, I mean, as long as you're alive, there's a chance for anything.
Yeah.
But it's not. It certainly isn't the plan.
I
You know,
like
I,
your conversation buzz videos.
oh, thank you. My podcast. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the conversations.buzz.
Mhm.
It's designed to be talking to fascinating people about any number of topics, anything at all that I find interesting. I figure there are other people out there to find it interesting. What happened in the last couple of months is that I started focusing on radio people, because I've gotten into these conversations and
Mhm.
said, if nothing else, this is going to keep some really big names in our industry alive a little bit longer. People who have retired but are still involved and still trying to carry the torch. And uh, so I'm doing that, but I'm still planning on going back to talking with other interesting people. So doesn't make any money, but it gives me something to do.
Dave Williams, you've had a wonderful career in radio. I'd like to see more of what you do in the future with your podcasting. Thanks for joining me today here.
Thanks for asking, Alex. You've been very patient with me. Thank you.